How I came to design the costumes for Kingsman was Matthew Vaughn inquired about my interest and availability to be the costume designer on his film. Kingsman, the Secret Service, he explained, was about British gentlemen elite spies whose base of operation is the Savile Row tailor shop. Matthew went on to tell me that he was forming a partnership with Mr. Porter to work with us on creating a collection based on the film that would live on. I'm always looking for a narrative aspect with the costumes that resonate so that they can help kind of inform this story. But this is just more conceptually to kind of think about, this best of British world and all the things that are unique to Savile Row, unique to our movie, unique to British style.
I was introduced to Arianne Phillips, who is the costume designer for the movie, and she had very strong ideas about the characterization. We talked about what we thought would work in terms of creating a brand that has a point of difference, and that wardrobe in the movie is what has been produced and what we're going to be selling on Mr. Porter.
Looking good, Eggsy.
Feeling good, Merlin.
I think Matthew's inspiration for wanting to get this project off the ground came from seeing a lot of movies in his life and being inspired by these movie characters. He'd seen films where the costumes were great, and he would have wanted to have bought things that he'd seen characters wearing in these movies, but he'd been unable to. What you see in the movie in terms of the costumes is exactly what you see on Mr. Porter in terms of what we are selling, because we were involved right at the beginning of the process. Arianne is an incredibly talented costume designer and has had some phenomenal experience in terms of movies that she's worked on in the past. It was interesting to get an American's perspective on what does an English gentleman look like. Of course, her understanding of that is probably different to my understanding of that, and I hope that the combination of both of those things has created something that feels very British but men around the world internationally will relate to.
That is sick.
As part of the Kingsman collection, Mr. Porter has brought together a who's who of British heritage brands to collaborate. And the great thing about the co-branders is that all of these guys made the clothes for the actors in the movie. So again, what you see in the movie is exactly what you see in the collection.
The guys on the film and the guys at Mr. Porter were very keen to keep it all kind of British manufacturing and that aspect. And obviously being one of the few shirt makers that still has its own manufacturing base in England, I think that was something important for both Mr. Porter and Matthew Vaughn.
If I looked at the trailer, and I've watched it a few times, if you focus on that, what you can see is it's a very British film, British actors, and you can also see it's very stylish. So I think that was almost a perfect match for Macintosh. We're a historical part of Britishness, the generic term Macintosh comes from us. So I think it was almost quite a natural, perfect match.
The British thing was very key, and I think in terms of British watch brands, we're obviously an obvious candidate. The other thing that appealed to them was the fact that quite a big chunk of our business is military around the world. So there's a lot of special ops, special services. And I think if you had to have a spy network wearing a watch, it's a pretty good fit, really.
I think they were keen to come to us because they perceived us to be the specialist in the marketplace for ties and handkerchiefs. We're very proud of our heritage, of how we make. I think in this day and age, there aren't too many people making a product completely by hand the way that we are.
To make fully genuine handmade shoes, there's not a lot of competition today. You could probably count on one hand the people that are making shoes like we are here. The Cleverly brand prides itself on making shoes of the highest quality, fully handmade, fully bespoke.
To start developing the Kingsman range starts with meetings we had with Toby and Arianne. We were looking at drawings, we were learning how the character would be dressing so that the glasses would really completely fit in with the look. I think we've chosen because of our history of bespoke. We've been making bespoke for nearly 45 years. We've got our own factory and we're very receptive to it.
As we progressed with the project, the Kingsman brand kind of progressed. We started seeing more of the products that the other brands were making and how it all came together and are part of the jigsaw puzzle.
From very early on also, it was decided that the main Kingsman agents would wear a gold watch. We were working on the rose gold, that was the colouring which was very appropriate for the film. And then the trainee agents, I think, wearing more of a sort of military blacked out watch, which was based on another model of ours.
One of the first things we did at Drake's was to look at the characters that would be wearing the ties. And I think once we could get an understanding of who that man was going to be, it would be relatively straightforward from there. Of course, after that, we were working with colour. And then it was a question of working with the right mills in terms of sourcing the woven and printed product that we were going to use to manufacture from.
We were initially given a brief as well as a couple of vintage archive pieces. And any modern style focusing on the heritage and history of an old piece will need tweaks. And that's the way we've worked from start to finish.
From day one, they wanted it to be based on one of our existing designs, so it wasn't completely new. I think they wanted also it to be fairly gadgety in look and feel, so a chronograph was the obvious way forward.
We went with the shoes first of all, the Oxford with our cleverly toe shape and just a straight cap. So that was really set in stone. The slipper was a bit different, you know, because we used cashmere. And then the monogram was done in this very unique rose gold material.
The highlights of the collection for me has to be the suit. It defines really what Kingsman is about, the double-breasted silhouette. We have made it more contemporary. We've cut it slim, we've cut it a little bit shorter in the jacket than you might traditionally think of a double-breasted suit. We've cut the sleeves slim, we've cut the armhole high, and at the same time there's a lot of shape through the back of the jacket, which I think is a Savile Row trademark.
It's been a great fun process, right through to looking back at the sorts of characters that would be wearing our ties, through to sourcing, designing, making and putting the whole range together.
I hope what Mr Porter has achieved through Kingsman is a new brand for a modern gentleman.